Well, good morning and welcome to Member Mondays chats at Right On Door County. Today, we're very happy to have with us Tina Kakowski and Morgan Mann from the Door County Libraries. We are in the midst of the big NEA Big Read Door County, and we thought we would chat today with the programming that has been going on around this book, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And Tina and Morgan, I wonder if you could just give us some background on how this book was selected. I know that it was chosen because of the NEA grant. The application and the book selection were due long before we knew about the pandemic that we would find ourselves in. So, can you talk a little bit about why this book was selected and how it's changed now that we are in a pandemic?
Well, we were approached back at the end of 2017 or early in 2018 with a request to use this book for a Door County Reads event. And since it was on the NEA Big Read list, that perhaps we could do an NEA Big Read in addition to it. So we had other books that came before it, and we kept looking for just the right time to go ahead and try for that NEA Big Read grant. And it just so happened that everything came together at the end of 2019. We decided to go ahead and try for the grant, which we applied for at the end of January 2020, when the current pandemic was seemed to be mostly elsewhere in the world and not in the United States yet. We got the grant on that April, and what happened between January and April was the pandemic became a very real thing in the United States. So it's a total coincidence that this book about a pandemic is the book that we are using for our NEA Big Read Door County in the middle of a pandemic. So it's given us lots of opportunities to discuss um, perhaps what it was like before the pandemic and what it's like to be in the middle of it and talk about this book, which the book has a much more dire consequences are in the book than the type of pandemic that we are in right now. So it's an odd coincidence, but it gives us a really great opportunity to have great discussions.
So the programming for this began on January 30th with a panel discussion on the importance of the arts to sustain us. And since then, there have been a number of book discussions and other events. How all of this taking place online. How has that been going for you?
Well, I'm doing most of the technical, getting us up on Zoom and helping to manage everyone coming in and going out and going on Facebook. I would say we're seeing good numbers. So not only are we having less technical problems like we had at the beginning of the year, people seem to know how to use Zoom now. Although there's some interesting like tech help that happens with people with iPads in particular. Um, but we are seeing, dozens of people joining us via Zoom, and then our Facebook Live reach can sometimes go in the multiple hundreds. So we're seeing a lot of good reaction from the community.
I know for myself, I was in a couple of the events this weekend, and I was very grateful that I could stay in my house and participate and not go out in the bitter cold. So how have I was able to take part in one of the book discussions that was this last Thursday. It was very interesting hearing the perspectives of people who had read the book a couple years ago and then are rereading it now that we're in a pandemic, and how attitudes have changed towards the books. Have you been experiencing similar with the book discussions that you've been in?
I think it just depends on the book discussion group. We have several ongoing book discussion groups here in Door County. The majority of our branches has a group that meets on a regular basis monthly to discuss books. So they each have their own kind of flavor about, and it's built of the community that they're in, about how they're going to react to different books. And having the same book read by all of these folks has been a real interesting experience in that you can see differences from group to group. And I don't know why there's the differences, but we do see that. Some folks are are not really liking the book per se, but and others are really enjoying it. And it just depends on the person, the group, and how they feel about it. And that's the whole point of having book discussions is you're not everybody is going to like everything. And there's a book for every reader. So we find that out in our book discussions for sure.
I would add too that so I've been in a few multiple ones, and people who attend multiple book groups, and this is one of the great things with Zoom and Facebook Live now, is you have the ability not to go out of your home and you can still participate in multiple ones. And as Tina said, each one's a little bit different, and hearing other people's opinions and where they kind of their perspective on coming into the book or now living through this is eye-opening, and sometimes it makes you think from a different perspective. So I recommend going to multiple ones, even if you don't want to talk, if you just want to sit and listen. I find everyone is very forgiving if you have not read the book, no matter which book discussion you're going to, if you happen to come later in the year to some of our other ones. And just hearing other people talk and you know, before we get into the books, we talk about, you know, how are you doing and what's going on in your life, and kind of getting that community connection that we're all kind of missing right now.
And I'm glad that you pointed that out about being kind to people who haven't read the book, because I've been encouraging people to attend some of these events and like, oh, I haven't read the book. And it's not even a book discussion. It's like the panel discussion that we had on Saturday with the different faces of the pandemic. It's like, you don't need to know the book at all to take part in this and enjoy the conversation. Wondering if you could talk about some of the events that have happened so far. Has there been anything that was really a standout in your mind?
Morgan, you've been to most of them. Maybe you can pull one out.
Speak to that.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I like a lot of all of the events we're doing. I mean, there's been an event every single day during our 2.5 week time frame here. Let's see here. Like today we have 2 book discussions going on. We have a morning and then we have an evening one. I would say so. Oh, so we've had 2 panel discussions. The first panel, the kickoff, really focused on theater and the arts and philosophy, all of that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of interesting takes on that that I felt spoke to the book, yes, but also just spoke to the cultural aspect of life and humanity. So that was a very interesting discussion. And I would say the second panel, where it was the faces of the pandemic, as you mentioned, Jerod, that was community leaders and people who have been in different facets of both business industry and healthcare and hospitality, and how everyone has been kind of coping and how fast you pivot and how you change from the perspective of a business person. And that was a very interesting topic of discussion. And I enjoyed the quiz. We had a quiz yesterday on Sunday, a brunch quiz, where Stephen helped moderate that, and it was very interesting. He'd have 5 questions about the book, and then 5 questions about some interesting thing, like for example, all of William Shakespeare's plays, or interesting things about Toronto. It makes me want to plan a trip to Toronto with all of the fabulous food that was talked about, and all of the different. They have a music or a film festival up there. They're the second Hollywood, I guess, is one of their names. So each one has been really interesting. And I know this week it's the finale, so the last week here, and we have a bunch of things coming on. Literature with a Sense of Place is coming up on Wednesday evening with Anne Mosier from the UW Madison Water Library. And we have, of course, the author talk on Thursday evening. So that will be quite enjoyable, I believe. And then Patrick Somerville is going to be talking with the author on Saturday. And I love the whole process of screenwriting and how you actually you write your book, then you get your book published, then you start doing the book tours, and then you end up to the big screen. Just the process of the life of a novel is very interesting too. So there's a little bit of something for everyone.
And thinking about all the events that you mentioned, Morgan, um, you can see that everything isn't super book centered. It takes different themes and different aspects of the book and makes those things happen as panel discussions and events. And that's what Door County Reads, which is the parent of the NEA Big Read Door County. Door County Reads always does that every winter. We have a book discussion, but we just don't discuss the book. We discuss different aspects of the book. So the ability to find something, as you mentioned, something for everyone is there. There's different aspects of whatever book we're reading. We will explore those and have good discussions.
And that is, I think, one of the wonderful things about Door County Reads is it appeals to dedicated readers. It appeals to writers in many cases, but it also appeals to those who are reluctant readers, but they discover some aspect of something else that they enjoy. Like I know there was a program on dystopian video games early in the thing. So someone who maybe doesn't read but loves doing games attends that event and then thinks like, well, maybe I should give a look at this book. Maybe I should try reading it. So I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And Door County Reads is such a wonderful program. At Right On, we've been very happy to be a part of it. And Morgan and Tina, I'm not sure that you're aware, because I know you both came to the library later, but Right On, we received our nonprofit status in January of 2014. It was the beginning of January. The first program that we could officially do as Right On Door County was a book discussion for Door County Reads. It was The Memory of Old Jack was the book that year, and we had a discussion at the newly renovated house on Juddville Road that would be our residency, and we had like 40 some people come out on a very cold, snowy Sunday afternoon. They wanted to talk about the book, of course, but I think they were also curious about what we had been doing for the past several months on renovating that property. So it's been a great pleasure to be a part of Door County Reads since the beginning of our organization, and I hope that continues. And Tina, I'm looking at that stack of books behind you. Are those possibilities for next year's reads?
It could be. There are books that are actually part of the NEA Big Read. So all of these books are on their list and can be chosen if you want to do an NEA Big Read or not. You don't have to do an NEA Big Read and read one of these wonderful books. But yeah, you never know. We'll see what's going to happen next year with what we read. I know that an interesting little tidbit of history on the Door County Reads is that when it was first started, Alan Kopishke was the person who put it together the first time in 2008. And he was trying to bring together the NEA Big Read when he was part of the Peninsula Players. And then the library has to be a partner according to the National Endowment for the Arts Big Read rules. So we had been NEA Big Read in the past for about 3 years or so. And then we didn't get the grant, I think, 1 year and decided to just continue with Door County Reads. And then here we are back again being the NEA Big Read, but that's just for this year. I don't think we're going to be doing another NEA for a little while yet. But for the 2 or 3 years after they weren't the NEA Big Read early on, they continued to read books from the NEA Big Read list. So it's a list that anybody can access. It's a wonderful books. They've added some new books to this list too, besides the classics that everybody knows and loves. So it is a changing list, and I recommend that you go onto NEA Big Read site and check out the books that are there. You might find something really great to use for one of your book discussions.
And I would add too, we are one of 48 organizations that are doing the NEA Big Read this year. And if you go and use the hashtag NEA Big Read, You can find other programming and recordings or events that are going on throughout the United States on different books. So if you've enjoyed the process and like having all of the extra tangents about a book, and you can actually do it almost any time of the year. You know, you can just search the hashtag and find different things.
And right now, all programming seems to be virtual for anybody who's doing this. So you can participate in an NEA Big Read just about anywhere
Mhm.
through the internet. And we're so happy that people are doing that with us this year.
Yeah, and that's great for the people who didn't get around to reading the book yet. If they're reading it now or after the programming concludes, they can still get a lot of information and take part in wonderful events. So great. Well, I just want to give our members a reminder of the programming that's coming up to wrap up the Big Read. Wednesday, Ann Mosier talking about literature in a sense of place. That's Wednesday at 6 p.m. And then Thursday at 7 p.m., Emily St. John Mandel will be talking with Rebecca Meacham about the writing of Station 11. And then Saturday, the 13th at 2 p.m., Patrick Somerville and Emily St. John Mandel talking about the adaptation of the novel for the screen. Tina and Morgan, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about the NEA Big Read, and congratulations on what it seems from my perspective to be a very successful program, and good luck with the programs coming up.
Thank you, thank you. I would
Thank
throw
you.
one more out there just because I didn't mention it before, but we have Door Shakespeare on the Friday coming up in the evening. They're going to be doing a selection from multiple Shakespeare pieces that were mentioned in the book. So not only King Lear, but also A Midsummer Night's Dream and Richard III. So we've all been missing theater around these parts. We have a lot of it here in Door County, and the theater pieces are free when they are part of the Door County Read. So we're very proud of that group, that connection with the Big Read program too.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, I apologize for forgetting about that one. But yeah, there's so much programming going on. It's hard to keep track of everything. So
yeah, lists. I have lots of lists.
well, you all have been doing a wonderful job managing this and just such a great variety of offerings that you're presenting to our communities. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerod.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to talk with everyone.
Okay, take care, and we'll see you at the talk.
Sounds great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.